into session. Excuse me.
Excellent. Michelle, would you like to call to order, or shall I do that? I'm going to go ahead and do that. Michelle and I talked earlier. So I'll entertain a motion from anyone to say to call our meeting. Is that a motion, Michaela, or I just say that? Sorry.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. I say it, or
Well, you
I'll
need
vote.
someone else to
I need someone
motion to
else.
call the
Okay.
meeting to
I'll,
order.
I'll take a voting member's motion to call our meeting to order for today.
Hey everyone, this
I,
is
Alicia Cooper, motion to bring this meeting to order.
Thank you. Michaela, sorry, Robert's rules. Do I need a second
Yes.
and then a vote? All right. And then Stephanie, I saw you unmuting. Did you want to? I like to wait until somebody takes a bite and then talk to them. That's my plan.
Hi everyone, Stephanie Gross. I second that motion. Thank you. Sorry.
All right. Excellent. And so all those in favor to start our meeting, please say yes in the chat, or simply unmute if you are not able to access the chat. Also, when you put things in the chat, please be sure to change your settings to everyone. For me, it's a blue, and there's a down caret, and you click and change it to everyone, not just panelists and hosts. All right, we have motion carries, and back to you, Michaela.
Wonderful. Meeting is called to order at 1:10 p.m. I am going to just do a real quick overview of our introductory slides here for anyone that is just now joining us. As I mentioned earlier, we have a great agenda today with some community partners. They are speaking on the topic of supporting Spanish-speaking individuals and families with IDD. That'll be followed by a question and answer session with our guest panelists. Okay, and we will take that up until our initial agenda up to about 2 o'clock. We'll have a brief break between 2 and 2:05, and then we'll get into our question and answer session. We didn't have anyone register for public comment today, so we have a 20-minute buffer in case our discussion goes a little longer. All righty. So if you are new to this space, you're at the August Advisory Council meeting for the Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Equitable Access to Services program. IDEAS is a program within Denver Human Services, and we partner with the community, all of you, to manage our local taxpayer dollars dedicated to Denver residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities and developmental delay. We strive to make Denver an inclusive community where people with IDD feel welcomed, valued, and empowered to live the lives they envision for themselves. All right, so let's get on to our next slide. The Advisory Council is an appointed group of Denver residents with lived experience with IDD who work in the field or who have a loved one with IDD. This group of amazing folks, sorry about that. We meets monthly to offer guidance to Denver Human Services on how to use these Millivy funds to meet the wants and needs of Denverites with IDD. For all of you who are joining us today, we have a few community rules. For those of you who are voting members or panelists, you'll have the ability to mute and unmute yourself. Please stay muted unless you're speaking. Raise your hand if you need to speak. Introduce yourselves for anyone who may not be able to see your screen so that they know who is speaking. Stay on topic and consider if the point of your conversation is benefit of all people in Denver with IDD. Please try to keep all of your conversation and directed towards the community benefit rather than over individual interests. If you are driving, please remain safe, off camera and on mute. Feel free to leave if you need to focus on the road. Please consider the Denver Code of Ethics at all times for our Voting Advisory Council members joining this meeting. And we are not permitted to allow AI or third-party accounts onto this meeting without prior approval by us, and only in the situation if that's a support needed. All righty. I keep losing my mouse. Sorry about that, folks. All meetings are public and recorded. We're recording currently. Chats are posted publicly. Please vote in the chat as you did to call the meeting into session. And for panelists, please ensure your chat is set to everyone. Finally, we are lucky enough to be joined here today by a Spanish-speaking interpreter. If you need to access interpretation, you will go down to should be a button at the bottom of your screen that looks like a globe. You can see it down in the bottom right. Click on interpretation, and that's where you can toggle back and forth between English and Spanish. We'll have a part of today's agenda where we'll be hearing from one of our own voting advisory council members, Adriana de la Torre. When she is speaking, you'll need to go down and toggle to Spanish so that you can hear her speaking. You can hear the interpreter speaking, interpreting for her in the Spanish channel. Is everyone able to find that on their Zoom accounts okay? All right, we can go over that too, and we need to. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Brian to facilitate the rest of our standing agenda items.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Michaela. And I noticed that for me, the translation button does not look the same as what Michaela just showed. So don't freak out if that's your experience too. It's okay. We'll figure out how to do the buttons. So this is our chance to go around for the voting members and say hello. You can raise your electronic hand so that I may call on you, but also sometimes we just organically do it. And if we interrupt each other, we just be patient and we'll figure it out. So I'll start. I'm Brian B, like be who you are, and I'm an autistic artist advocate. I'm a voting member and the co-chair. I both receive support services for people with disabilities and I help provide some support services. I also just put that in the chat and put it in Spanish as well. And Michelle, are you in a position that you can come say hello?
I sure am.
Oh,
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry. Michelle, I forgot to describe what's on the screen. Would
Yep.
you like to do that?
No, go ahead. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
So your name, your pronouns, a visual description of yourself, and your experience and affiliations. I guess I did number 4. Well, okay, so 2 and 3. He, him, and I'm a guy in his 50s with a graying beard. Pass.
So, Brian, are you choosing me to go next?
Yes, please.
Bill, I appreciate you, brother. So I am Michelle Dumais. I have the honor, the esteemed pleasure, the joy to be the co-chair of this IDEAS Council. And my favorite pronouns, if you know me, she, her, me, my. Yes, I love them. The mine. I love those pronouns. A visual description of myself today. I am wearing. I'm African American, and whoop whoop. I made 55. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. There was a time when I didn't think I was going to make it, but yes, 55. I African American, Muslim. I have on a vanilla colored scarf, a blue pinstripe vest, and I'm sitting in my home office. And the other friends that know me got to describe the glasses. Alicia's like, yes, let's hear about the glasses today. So these are clear circle frame rimmed glasses. So that's who I am. That's what I look like. And that's who I be. Let me see who I'm going to choose. Okay, Stephanie, friend, are you able to go next? She's also a voting member. If you're ready to go, I'm going to give it to Stephanie. Hey,
Yes.
friend.
Hi, thank you, Michelle. Hi, everyone. This is Stephanie Gross. I am the founder and executive director of Move Through Yoga. We bring adaptive yoga to individuals with intellectual, developmental, and physical disabilities. We do that in schools through the Unified PE programs or MIA, MIS centers. And we also work in day programs in the local Denver metro area. As a voting member, I am so proud to be among such a wonderful community of light workers. I am a Caucasian white female. How old am I? I'm in my mid 40s, and I have a beautiful blended family. And it is just an honor to be here with everyone. I'm working in my home office, which you cannot see because I am using a blue screen, which is so awesome to change my background every once in a while. So thank you, everyone. And let's see, who can I pick now? Emily, are you ready?
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Emily Johnson. I'm one of the panelists today. Um, my pronouns are she, her. I am a white female in her mid-30s with brown hair and a black shirt on today. I'm coming here today with Tapayak Community Health Center, where I'll be starting as a physician next week. I'm also a family member of two individuals. My brother and my son both have Down syndrome. So both some professional and personal experience to bring today. Thank you. Let's see. Pam, I'll pass to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pamela Valenza. I am a family physician and the chief health officer at Tepeyac Community Health Center. So we'll be talking a little bit later. I am she, and my pronouns are she, her. For my visual description, I am a white female, early 40s, long hair. I'm wearing a blue and white tank short sleeve shirt, and I am in my home office right now as opposed to in the office at Tepeyac. So I have a blurred background and some blurry paintings that nobody can see through the blurred background. Um, as I mentioned, I work at Tepeyac Communities Health Center. I am still a provider. I'm clinical about 40% of the time. And I also have a sister with IDD, and so have that personal experience as well. Next, Lynn, you are the first photo or person I see on Zoom.
I'm going to respectfully pass as a support person. I just did my introduction in the chat. And looking for Alexa. Have you gone yet?
I think Alexa may be driving.
Oh,
Sorry,
Alexa
I
was
couldn't find
driving.
the mute
Oh,
button.
no, there she is.
No,
Here
drive
she is.
safely. Don't
Okay.
do that. Okay.
Thanks, Lynn. No problem. Alexa Gagne, I'm advisory council member. I am not on screen right now because I just actually was in transport and sat down and now I'm eating. So apologies. I am, for knowledge, I'm a 40-year-old white woman. I am wearing a gray shirt today. I have dark brown hair. And I really enjoy serving with this council on behalf of my 3-year-old daughter, Colette, who lives with Down syndrome. So I will pass it to Abby.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Abby Grinstead, and the pronouns are she, her, hers. I am the Associate Director of our Mill Levy program here at Rocky Mountain Human Services. I've had the pleasure of working with Rocky Mountain Human Services for 10 years, and I also have the honor of getting to raise a son with a disability, and so I bring that professional and that lived experience to that space today. I'm a non-voting member. I'm here on an invitation, so I'm thankful and grateful to be a part of this meeting today and in your space. in your space today. I am presenting in a black floral dress. I'm feeling a little bit of fall and in the air today, so I have some fall colors on. I'm a woman in her early 40s, Caucasian with blonde hair, and I will pass it over to Amy Becerra.
I was just starting to put it in the chat because I wasn't sure if this was meant only for the voting members.
That's
So
correct. This part is for the voting.
okay,
But
okay.
please do.
I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, please do. Please do. And any others, if you're not a voting member, we would like you in the chat. Although, wait a minute, Amy, aren't you presenting today? That allows you a chance to say hello. So please.
Sure.
Pardon me.
I am Amy Becerra. My pronouns are she, her, ella. Buenos días por los que hablan español. Or buenas tardes, lo siento. I am really tall and I have red hair, and today I'm wearing a floral shirt with a blue sweater. And like I said, I work at Rocky Mountain Human Services. I'm on the executive team there. I was the former Mill-Levy director, but still am very much involved with the services and supports that we provide to our community and specifically with Mill-Levy. So happy to be here today. This is a topic after my heart.
Excellent. Y entonces, Julissa.
Well, it looks like Julissa is also driving.
Okay.
Her introduction is in the chat if you would like to read it, Brian.
And sorry to put you on the spot. Yes, stay safe. Okay. Hello, my name is Julissa Soto. I'm a voting member and a proud, strong Mexican leader. I don't use pronouns. I love being in charge, guiding others, and working with people from all backgrounds and abilities. I always wear black. It's a symbol of power and resilience. My passion is building community where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. Wow. Y'all are blowing me away today. And Chris, I see you just introduced in the chat. Do you want to leave it at written, or do you have a caregiver with you, or would you like to unmute? To say hello. Written, okay.
So I can read Chris's if you can't
Yeah.
find it. Chris says, "Hi, I'm Chris and I'm a male and I'm with my caregiver Mel. Hey Mel. And I am trying to eat my lunch. My speech session went long. No worries, Chris. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me."
Michelle, you're awesome. Let's just check. Are there any other voting members to say hello, or have we covered that? Are we covered, Michaela? I'm thinking we are.
I think we need Adriana.
Oh,
And so this will be a good chance for us all to test our ability to use the interpretation function. So everyone, if you can find your interpretation button at the bottom of your screens and change that over to Spanish. Go ahead and do that, and we'll see if we can listen to our interpreter, Yamala, interpret for Adriana.
escucho la voz de Adriana, pero no del interpretador.
Hola, soy Adriana de la Torre. Actualmente soy miembro de IDEAS. Mi pronombre es ella. Soy una mujer cerca de los 50 años. Soy una mujer muy sensitiva. Tengo un hijo con trisomía 21 y estoy muy emocionada de estar aquí y
Excelente. And now we switch over back to English, Michaela, correct?
Were you able to interpret, Yamila? Yes. Okay. Was everyone able to hear the interpretation? Get a thumbs up? Awesome.
Yes.
Wonderful. So yes, now we can switch over back to English. And I believe we have Alicia and Kisley left to introduce themselves. We also have a few guest presenters. Perhaps we can leave it up to them if they'd like to introduce themselves now or prior to their presentation.
I can go now. Good afternoon. My name is Alicia Cooper. I am a proud voting member of the IDEAS Advisory Council. I'm a light-skinned Black woman with brown eyes. Today, my hair is mid-blue, short, faded haircut with a small beauty mark on my right cheek. I have golden highlighting makeup. I'm wearing a red heart printed tunic with white background and with black accents. My pronouns is she, her. I am the chair for Denver Commission for People with Disabilities. I work with our foreign soldiers or foreign veterans who live abroad with the Veteran Health Administration. I advocate for the students in my daughter's school, Virgin Affinity Group, especially with IDD students. And I also am a family peer person for my brother with TBI.
Thank you. Welcome.
And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kisley Blue. I'm the Mill Levy Program Manager at Rocky Mountain Human Services. My pronouns are she, her. I am a Black woman wearing white today. I'm here at the office and I'm in my early 40s. I represent Rocky Mountain Human Services as a non-voting member.
Whew, all right. Let's just all have a little happy dance, a party that we got through that. We got to the meeting, hopefully, clicked through all the things, and we all said hello. Whew. That was a lot.
Can I cut you off, Brian? I'm new too.
Come
And I'm
in,
sorry,
sir.
I'm having some problems with my video.
Yeah. Yeah, please.
But my name is Seth Grove. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a white 40-year-old male. I'm a new voting member, and I'm affiliated with Advocacy Denver. But I have about 18 years experience in the IDD field. So I'm happy to be here.
Welcome, Seth. And thank you for speaking up for yourself. Hey, Brian, can I cut in now? Please. Yes, excellent. That is the essence of why we are all here, to advocate for ourselves and our community. Anyone else? As Michaela said, we have some presenters here. Maybe you have not introduced yet. You could do now or later, right before you present. All right. As a reminder, a piece of technology, Zoom automatically makes our chat go to hosts and panelists only. And for the purposes of transparency to the public, we change that setting over to everyone. So when you put something in the chat, please change that button. If you can't figure out that button, no worries, ask for help, and we'll keep moving forward. In fact, for all the clickies and buttons and processes, have a breath. We'll keep going. All right, I believe I'm done with this section, and it's now over to you, Michaela. Is that correct?
If you would like to facilitate the meeting minutes review, you're welcome to. I'm happy to hop in with whatever you
Oh,
are
okay, yeah,
feeling.
I can do that.
Mhm.
Thank you, Michaela.
Mhm.
Now it's time to look at the last time IDEAS Advisory Council met, and then I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes, or if somebody needs to revise or abstain. For example, I was not at the last meeting, so I will abstain from that vote. So this is a moment for voting members to go look at those minutes, and then we're going to do a vote. We did not meet last month, so this goes back 2 months. A little bit of time off for the summer. Are there any requests for revisions? All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a voting member that would like to make a motion to approve our minutes?
I, Alicia Cooper, would like to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Alicia. And a second?
This is Michelle Dumais. I'll second that emotion.
Thank you. All right, in the chat, please go say yes, no, or abstain, or your language or your word for those. We do have we do tend to have a spirit of having fun here, so I hope that that sits well with each of you. The nature of our work is so serious that it's nice to smile. Okay.
Brian, I think we have 6 yes votes,
Okay.
which would bring us to a majority if
Okay.
I'm mathing correctly.
All right, then over to you, Michaela.
We only have 5.
Oh, thanks.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, Brian abstained.
Oh, thank you.
There's
There
Thank
we
you,
go.
Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. We've got our 6. Okay. All right. So thank you. All minutes from June are approved. And then I am monitoring our time all. We had a great round of introductions and took us a little bit longer than planned to get technology going. So we are a tad bit behind. We have a few more standing agenda items to include council member updates. Would you all like to go ahead and just push through those and then push our break back a little bit? Or we could skip our council member updates and go right into presentation.
Let's just keep moving forward.
Okay.
Agreed.
Moving forward into the presentation, Lisa.
Yeah, and short or break because yeah, we're way late.
Okay. Is that all right with everyone else?
Does that need a motion?
Let's take a motion to keep moving forward, please.
Yep.
Shorten our break.
Okay.
Done.
Sounds good. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and pop on over then to start our presentations. So we're joined by an amazing group of folks here today to speak with their lived and or professional experience supporting Spanish speaking individuals and families with IDD. How we'd like to structure this conversation today is to provide each of the individuals or organizations listed on your screen the opportunity to speak for 5 minutes about their experience or their organization's work. That will be about 30 minutes. Then we can take a break and we can return with a question and answer session. So I will, to help keep time, I am going to put a timer that will show up in the right-hand corner of my screen. It'll have a light ding at 5 minutes. At that point, if you can work on kind of wrapping up your presentation so that we have time to get through everyone, that would be fantastic. We'll take a break and then we'll return to question and answer. Does that sound okay to everyone? All right, sounds good. So our first presentation is Adriana de la Torre. So just as she did when she introduced ourselves, let's have everyone switch over to Spanish. I'm going to toggle over the screen here. And switch over to Spanish. Adriana, if you'd like to come off mute, we would love to hear from you first.
Sí, como lo mencioné, tengo un hijo con trisomía 21. Él tiene 11 años. Desde que él nació, me he dedicado al aprender y a educarme en el mundo de la disabilidad. Me gusta apoyar a la comunidad, especialmente a la comunidad con alguna discapacidad, porque considero que es una de es, u- es una es de las más vulnerables. Me gusta aprender, no solo para mí, sino para apoyar a otras familias. Es muy importante estar informadas para poder apoyar y acercar a los recursos a, a nuestros hijos o a nuestro familiar. Es por eso, es por eso que me interesó y, y quise pertenecer a a este grupo de ideas. Estoy aquí para aprender y para apoyar. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Adriana. We really appreciated hearing about your experience. We will now switch over and hear from our guest presenters with Advocacy Denver. We are going in alphabetical order. So Pam, please, you now have the floor.
Thank you. My name is Pamela Bishalia. I'm the Executive Director of Advocacy Denver. I'm also a parent in that I have a woman child with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so I approach this maybe from a different perspective than perhaps some executive directors, in that the advocacy is personal. Advocacy Denver was actually established in 1954 by parents where their children were denied a public education. Back in those days, we were originally established as the name of the agency was the Association for Retarded Children. That was a term that was used in those days. We later changed the name to ARC of Denver. And then because of many of our clients remembered the acronym ARC and what it stood for, we eventually did rebranding and we became known as Advocacy Denver. We're one of 15 chapters in the state of Colorado. We work with families who have children who are enrolled in the Denver Public Schools. And then we also provide advocacy support to adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Individuals don't call us to tell us what a fine job the public school system is doing in meeting the needs of their child. They don't necessarily call us to tell us what a fine job the different agencies are doing in terms of meeting their individual needs. We have a number of different programs. Certainly the foundation of our agency is advocacy. Our focus, our goal is to promote, protect the human rights of people with disabilities and to actively support their full inclusion and participation in the community throughout their lifetimes. Our focus, our priority is really seeing that children are educated, have an opportunity to be educated in their neighborhood schools with or the parents' school of choice with typically developing peers. I said that the foundation for our agency is advocacy, in that we have advocates for adults, and then we have advocates for child and family advocates. We have advocates that speak English. We have advocates that speak Spanish. The role of an advocate is really to support families and their children. The advocate may attend meetings and appointments with them to facilitate problem solving and planning. They promote and support self-advocacy and person-centered planning among individuals and families they serve. They obtain information and explain options thoroughly so that individuals and families can make their own best decisions. They ensure that individuals and families fully understand the benefits and risks of choices they make. And they provide families with information on how to navigate the different systems, including school, medical, mental health, recreation, criminal, legal, and other community systems. The other programs that we offer is we do have what's referred to as the Center for Special Education Law. The Center for Special Education Law does represent families in due process proceedings. They don't simply work with families who live in Denver, but rather they accept referrals from all over the state of Colorado. The priority is really working with marginalized families. Their priority is, and it's not a typical legal program, and that they charge families on a sliding scale, or they are able to provide pro bono services. And so many families that where sometimes school districts take advantage of them, they're many times able to step in and support that family with resolving different kinds of legal issues. We're also an agency where we always try to resolve issues at the lowest level, but we are an agency that does file formal complaints. Right now, I have one that's pending that was filed with Denver Public Schools, and it speaks to the school district's failure to provide a student with a free, appropriate public education. Another program that we have, or that another focus we have, is around policy, and that they're having some early sessions down at the Capitol, but we are an active voice at the Capitol in terms of promoting policy that really serves in the best interests of children and adults with disabilities. And then finally, we have a resource navigation program where it's an individual who is bilingual, who's able to support families in applying for services with Rocky Mountain Human Services. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pam. That was a really great overview. All right. And now I'd like to welcome Elisa from El Grupo Vida.
Good afternoon. I would like to speak in Spanish.
Wonderful. So let's all switch again into the Spanish channel.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Elisa Ucancela. Soy la directora ejecutiva de El Grupo Vida. La misión del Grupo Vida es apoyar el bienestar de las personas inmigrantes con discapacidad y sus familias, alzando su voz mediante la defensa directa, nuestros valores colectivos, comunidad, oportunidades, justicia. Y tenemos estos programas, centros de recurso, tenemos la tienda de intercambio, usted trae cosas para donar, usted se lleva cosas, bancos de alimento y pañales, cada mes se abre para que las familias se puedan inscribir y tenemos pañales de niños hasta adultos. Capacitación, grupos de apoyo y conferencia, pueden ser virtuales o presenciales en nuestra oficina en Denver. Navegación comunitaria, conexión con los sistemas, salud y apoyo para la transición y programas de arte y jardinería. Padres, jóvenes y adultos con discapacidades intelectuales y del desarrollo se reúnen para tener un tiempo de compartir, de aprender y de también relajarse con el arte y con el cafecito. Y me gustaría traer unos cuantos puntos con relación al tema que estamos hablando en este día, relación a los accesos a servicios para personas con discapacidades intelectuales y del desarrollo que vienen de familias mixtas. Entendemos que hay un miedo en este momento con relación al cargo público, el compartir información. En este momento hay estos conflictos con relación al gobierno federal de qué se le va, qué el Estado, qué tipo de información el Estado va a estar dando al gobierno federal. Malos entendidos sobre idiomas. Tenemos que entender que las familias latinas no solamente hablan español, hay una variedad de dialectos, como ejemplo los dialectos de maya, que son aproximadamente 30 dialectos. También están las reglas para pagar a cuidadores. Padres que no tienen sus documentos no pueden ser pagados para cuidar a sus hijos que tienen el derecho de recibir esos servicios. Y una de las cosas que nosotros hemos observado, ejemplo, en el área de seguro social suplementar, si los padres que no tienen documentos tienen el número ITIN o AT, el seguro social, la oficina del seguro social tiene que entrarlo manualmente. Por tanto, se tarda en cada caso entre 1 hora a 1 hora y media. A ellos no les gusta eso. Por tanto, muchas familias que los padres tienen número ITIN y sus hijos tienen seguro social, les hacen mucho pero, no los procesan a veces y hay muchas situaciones en el área de seguro social suplemental. ¿Cómo podemos arreglar esta inequalidad del sistema? Aumentar la navegación y confianza con la comunidad, aumentar el personal bilingüe y entrenamiento sobre concientización cultural y lingüística y también el apoyo a las familias que tenemos en alto riesgo. Tenemos familias que están todavía viviendo en shelters, en refugios. Yes, en refugios. Y disculpen, he intentado decirlo todo en español. Estoy tan acostumbrado a mezclar los idiomas, donde podamos continuar proveyendo ese apoyo para que ellos puedan ser autosostenibles y ellos puedan sentir que Denver es su hogar y que quieren quedarse aquí por siempre. Gracias, que tengan linda tarde.
Thank you so much, Elisa. We really appreciate you being here and sharing those insights. Those are really important. Okay. And now I would love to welcome Abby and Amy with Rocky Mountain Human Services.
Hello. I introduced myself earlier, so I'll just kind of get right to who we are. Rocky Mountain Human Services is the case management agency for Denver and Adams County, which means that we are the entry point for service for long-term care services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We are also we also hold a couple of contracts with the mill levy through the mill levy funding through D8 through Denver Human Services. We have our large mill levy program contract, the Denver Mill Levy program, and we also have the START program, which are both the larger program through Mill Levy is open to all residents in Denver that have an IDD access services and supports that are not available through other means such as the Medicaid waivers or other fill other gaps or individualized needs. So Rocky Mountain Human Services has been doing this work for more than 30 years. And as you see on your screen, we are committed to our mission, which is to embrace the power of community. And we want to be a community with you all. With my other presenters, it's nice to see some of you here on the screen because we do embrace and know that this takes a community effort. And that community effort is to support individuals and families in creating their future, in creating the lives that they want and that they envision. And our goal and what we strive to do every day is to do this by simplifying access in a system that can be really complex. And I know today we're here to talk about some really complex pieces that make this more complex for individuals in our immigrant and Latino communities. We also do this by celebrating individuality. We welcome everyone for who they are and how they show up. And our goal is to get people what they need to live independently and as a part of their community. And then again, I kind of said this in my beginning, we also do this by bridging communities. And we know that we cannot do this alone, that it takes a series of partnerships and strong relationships. And I really feel like today's forum is one of those spaces where we're bridging communities to find out what we're all doing and how we can support each other and how we can make sure that people in Denver with IDD receive the support that they need. Next slide. Okay, so I just talked about this really complex system. And so I want to try to break this down into more simpler formats. And essentially, there are a couple of paths for a family coming into services. And so the first question is really, one, do you have an intellectual and developmental disability? And do you live in Denver? And so Rocky Mountain Human Services is the agency that can help you make that determination. So the term intellectual and developmental disability is not just a diagnosis, but it's actually a criteria that the state of Colorado put into law. And Rocky Mountain Human Services is the agency in Denver that can make sure that that you or your loved one meets that criteria. So that's step one, and our case managers can help you do that. And then it's whether or not you qualify for federally funded programs, and usually that means Medicaid. So do you qualify for Medicaid? That usually requires a certain immigration status, Or if you don't qualify for Medicaid, then there's some additional routes that you might be able to go through to get services. And so if you don't qualify, that looks like right now in the state of Colorado, services can be offered through a variety of state and locally funded services. And there's a lot of information on this page, and our time is short. And so I won't go through each one, but essentially there is services for early intervention services, services for families with children, and services for adults. And those are funded through state-funded programs or through our Denver Mill Levy program. If you do qualify for Medicaid or have access and qualify for coverage for all Coloradans, then you may be eligible for home and community-based services. These are more intensive long-term services that require some additional criteria to make sure that you qualify. And Rocky Mountain Human Services is that agency to shepherd you through that process. It's not always easy, and we want to be realistic about that process. And so would love to connect with you in the question and answer session about that. Thank you. And I will take questions in English or Spanish when it's my turn. Sometimes it's easier to ask your question directly.
Thank you so much, Amy. And I went ahead and I stopped the screen share instead of stopped the timer. So at least I did one thing this time. I forgot to do the timer entirely last time. So let me get the slides back here. I know you all are really missing Corey right now. Let me get that up there. Sorry, my
You're doing a
computer's-
fabulous job.
Thank you so much to whoever graciously said that.
What Stephanie said.
Thank y'all. Okay, is that coming up for y'all again?
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Okay, so now we're gonna flip the slide, and thank you so much, Amy. That was really masterful way to present a lot of complex information in probably the most condensed and accessible way possible. So we really appreciate you all being here today. And Ana, we would love to invite you on now to speak about Servicios de la Raza.
Yes, thank you. And hi, everyone. I'm Ana Visoso. My pronouns are she, her, ella. And I am a Latina immigrant who has been in Colorado over the last 20 years. I represent Servicios de la Raza, or Services for the People. I'm the vice president of our health and wellness programs here. And for those of you that are not familiar with our services, we were founded in Denver in the early 70s during the Chicano movement. And we were originally founded to provide mental health services to the Spanish-speaking communities. And since then, we've been able to really expand and provide a large variety of services addressing individuals holistically in all of their needs. So in this first slide, I included our mission, which is to provide and advocate for culturally responsive, essential human services and opportunities. So we can go to the next slide, where it shows all of our 8 different departments that we have within the organization. We do have 3 different locations in Denver, 1 location in Pueblo, Colorado, and we're also located in Adams County. I think it's really important to say that although we have expertise in serving our Latino community, we do serve individuals from all backgrounds, and all of our services are of no cost to community. So anyone can literally access our services. Since I represent health and wellness, I'll start briefly with those teams and then proceed with the next. But we have a very robust mental health and substance misuse program. We are licensed as a behavioral health entity in the state of Colorado, and we serve individuals ages 11 and up, both for mental health and substance misuse. We offer individual counseling, couples, family, as well as group counseling, and our clinic is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every night, because we understand that a lot of folks work during the day and then they need to access services in the evenings. A few years ago, we expanded to include peer services, and we do have really successful groups in English and Spanish every Wednesday night where we break bread together. We have the different group facilitators, and then we do monthly pro-social sober outings. So this last weekend, they had a giant barbecue in the park, but they've done different things such as going ice skating, going to the movie theater, going to the botanic gardens, and different things like that throughout the year. We also are an HIV service provider, so we work with individuals who are currently living with HIV, but also individuals who are sexually active that want to get tested for different STIs. We partner with Denver Health as well on that, and as well as PrEP and PEP navigation as well. So we have a team that focuses on that. We have a different team that focuses on health enrollment, literacy, and navigation, where we are able to assist individuals in enrolling into the marketplace, Medicaid, CHP plus SNAP benefits. And we recently received a grant to be able to support individuals in applying for SSDI as well. So that's something that our team is focusing on. And then we're also part of the STAR program, which is a non-police response program that initiated in Denver about 5 years ago, where we partner with 911, Denver Health, and WellPower in providing case management and wraparound services to individuals who are experiencing different behavioral health crises. Top of those services, we also have our essential services. We do have a food pantry where we do food bank events. We have back to school events, holiday distributions. We also celebrate El Día de los Niños, where we do a big event both in Denver and Pueblo. And that program is for individuals who need additional support to hygiene items, food, and we also have a pet pantry as well for folks who need assistance feeding their animals. We have a victim services program that serves individuals who identify as victims of general crime, domestic violence, sexual assault, and they work statewide. Again, all of their services are free. And then we have a reentry program for individuals who are incarcerated and upon their release are being reintegrated into our communities, where they help them with different career pathways, case management, and ensuring that they have all of the tools available. And then lastly, we have our employment team who helps individuals find different employment opportunities. It doesn't matter whether folks have legal status or not, we're able to help them access services through all of our programs. And my time's up.
Thank you so much, Anna. We really appreciate you being here. That was wonderful. And last but not least, we have Klinika Tepeyac. I'd like to invite Dr. Valenza and Dr. Johnson to speak with us now.
Yes, hello everyone again. I'm representing Tepeyac Community Health Center. We did start out as Klinika Tepeyac over 30 years ago, but we did make that name change over to Tepeyac Community Health Center. We do have our main location currently at 48th and Vine Street in Denver, Colorado, in the Global Elyria Swansea neighborhood. We started out of a community health needs assessment in the North Denver neighborhood, where it was noticed that there were a number of uninsured, undocumented Latino community members who are in need of healthcare and really didn't have access to that. And that's really how our health center was born out of. It was started with a health promotora team. Community members came together and renovated a 2-room bungalow that was owned by Our Lady of Guadalupe Church in North Denver. And that is where the first clinic operated. The clinic soon very quickly outgrew the space and then moved into what was a defunct Denver Health satellite clinic in the Globeville neighborhood at 50th and Lincoln Street. And that's where we operated from the early 2000s until 2 years ago when we moved into our current building. We do have both locations still open. We were operating the Lincoln Street facility as a refugee intake screening site through the state of Colorado. And since that program has kind of been pretty restricted over the last few months, we still are seeing some trickle of individuals with refugees. Today, fast forward 30 years, we see close to 10,000 unique patients, and that includes over 250 patients with IDD. We do not have any geographic restriction. So we have patients from over 60 different zip codes. We have patients up and down the Front Range. We have patients in Summit County. We have some patients on the Western Slope. We can do in-person. We can do virtual visits. We accept all insurances, pretty much with the exception of the VA insurance, but Medicaid, Medicare, private insurance. We are in network with Denver Health Medicaid. We are not a Denver Health clinic, but we do accept Denver Health Medicaid and can see any patient with Denver Health Medicaid. And we are also in network with Kaiser Insurance, even though we are not a Kaiser clinic. And for patients who are uninsured, we offer a sliding fee discount, and that is scaled based on the size of their family, income, and other things. And we really have a focus and mission to provide health services in alignment with patients' cultural beliefs and life experiences. About 80% of our patients prefer their services in Spanish. All of our patient-facing staff are bilingual or proficient in Spanish. So every person that the patient meets along their way speaks their language, and more than 75% of our staff are also bicultural. Next slide, please. As far as our services, which is not on the slide here, but I'll just explain in brief before going to what's on the slide. We are a full spectrum primary care practice. We see everyone from newborns, children, adults, older patients. We see families. We have a full medical treatment team with family physicians. We have an addiction medicine provider, so we can do addiction medicine services. We have HIV specialists. We are a Ryan White program recipient. We have a dedicated pediatrician who has more than 20 years of experience with advanced developmental training with high-risk developmental pediatrics. We have Dr. Emily Johnson, who will speak a little bit here today. She is a disability-specific physician who's joining our practice next week as we are expanding services and really providing more access to disability-competent providers. All of our staff have received disability competency training, and that is our dental teams, our medical teams, our behavioral health teams, our front desk staff, our pharmacists. So everybody in our organization has received some level of disability competency training. Some of those are listed here on the slide. We have a lot of accessibility features within the clinic. We have exam tables that are ADA and height adjustable, dimmable lights. We have a Hoyer lift. We have wheelchair scales in each medical pod. We have on-site dental team with a dentist, hygienist. We have a pharmacy that can do mail delivery, courier services, and pill packs for patients. We have behavioral health with marriage family therapists, licensed professional counselors, social workers. We have case managers, nursing, registered dietitian, wound care. We really provide comprehensive services. And I see we have 7 seconds, and I would just want Emily just to take a few words here. So I apologize for speaking fast, and I'll hand it over to Emily.
Yeah, I'll just be really quick, but I just want to kind of reintroduce myself and some of my experience. So again, Emily Johnson, and I am a family physician, but I specialize in the primary care of children and adults with developmental disabilities, and I've done that for my career. I started out at the Developmental Disabilities Health Center in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and then later transitioned for a couple of years to the Timothy Freeman Center for Developmental Disabilities in Cincinnati, Ohio, at the University of Cincinnati. I'm really excited to be back in Denver and love working with all of our patients with developmental disabilities. So I have also that personal experience, as I mentioned, with both my brother and son who have Down syndrome. And so I really enjoy having this overlap between my professional and personal lives. I think I can kind of like weave together the medical needs, but also community services, and kind of have an understanding of the system that I think is hard for many physicians to gain without some of that experience. As Pam mentioned, I'm also proficient in Spanish, so I'm happy to kind of cross those bridges as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you all so much for sharing some of your experience and your expertise with us today. It's been such an incredible time listening to all of you and all the incredible work you do for the community. So with that, Michelle and Brian, would you all like to proceed with our 5-minute break, and then we can come back? I think we still have time for a 30-minute Q&A session because we don't have any public comment. And then have about 10 minutes to plan for our next meeting still, if that works all right for you all and the rest of your voting members.
Yes, that would be great.
This is Michelle. I'm gonna go. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All
take a
right.
break. I'm going to put something in the chat that you can read, gives you a heads up what we'll do after break. And I'm going to recommend that you take a wiggle break, and I'll put a little YouTube link in there about get off your chair and move around. So 5-minute break.
All right. We'll see you back here at 2:18. Thanks so
And
much.
so, Michaela, are you gonna put the timer up for that break?
Oh, good call. I will.
Okay, appreciate you.
Thanks for helping us stay time aware, Michaela and Michelle. We've got about 1 more minute for our break. So we're going to come back from break in just a moment. I invite you to come back into our space together.
Okay. How are we doing, Brian and Michelle? We've got everyone?
Yeah, we invite you to come back on camera if that is safe and works for you to, or otherwise rejoin the meeting in the way that is good at your location. And Michelle, this is our chance to facilitate first some predetermined questions for our guest presenters, and then if time allows, take some other organic questions. Michelle, whenever you turn your camera on, then I'll welcome your leadership and your voice, and I'll begin. I'll kick those off for now. So I put those in the chat before I went on break. You should be able to pull those up. Thank you for the presenters that came today. A lot of great stuff. Let's start out the documentation status. How does that status impact a person's ability to receive publicly funded IDD supports and services? Would any of our presenters like to begin with answering that? Elisa.
Yes. If you don't have a document and you are an adult, you have a specific waiver that is a state waiver that you can receive support if you apply for that. We have Medicaid for All that's starting in January. That is from birth to 18 years old. What is the challenge after 18? We don't have a specific funding for this group of people that they need, extra support. The other layer is mid-levy support through Rocky Mountain Human Services. They have been providing a variety of support for families that they cannot receive a specific support through other organizations. And the other, and the last, is be aware again that all this past month, a lot of things has been cutting for people that they don't have document. A lot. Like currently, there are few services to provide to them. Thanks.
Thank you, Elisa. Pamela.
As we work with families certainly public schools do not refuse children based on their disability. And the public schools do have different programs. They have different hubs where children can receive health care, where they can receive food, where they can receive clothing. In terms of the adults that we work with intellectual and developmental disabilities, where they may not be eligible for public programs, we do work with Rocky Mountain Human Services, and that they've always taken the position that if you live in Denver, you're a taxpayer, and so you're eligible for mill levy funds. And many times we submit that application or support the family in submitting the application so that at least there's something that can help support their adult. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy.
I'll just tack on to what Pam said. And I missed it when you asked the question. So I think we're answering what services are available for people that are undocumented. Was that the question?
Correct.
Yeah, and so my slide kind of depicts that, and I know it's a lot of information at the beginning, and so there's kind of two paths, and it depends on who's funding that path, what services are available to you. And there's probably other funding paths that are not explored in this group, but this is our area of expertise, whether it's through the state-funded programs, through mill levy programs. And so what I'm seeing here, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here because I'm learning some things and I've already had some like ideas generating of how we can use some of the local funding in a more strategic or targeted way. And it's helpful for us to be in this space together to know what is working and where do we still have gaps and what services. So I was reading Julisa's comments in the chat, and I'll let Tepeyac and Servicios de la Raza answer, but I think there's a lot of opportunity here. But the bottom line is similar to what Elisa and Pam said. One, RMHS accepts everyone that comes through our door and connects them to the resources that they need. And so part of that work is navigating some of those complexities of whether or not you hold a legal immigration status, and that's a little bit even tricky right now in the space of individuals that entered our country under the asylum option that have a temporary status. And we know that there's a lot in play to make changes to those temporary statuses, and so we're kind of in a wait and see, but in that meantime, trying to look at all the resources we have available and how we can connect people. And certainly the Denver Mill Levy program is one of those ways, and bridging those communities of how can we partner with a group that maybe we didn't know about, and how can we make those connections. I'm not going to say that there's easy solutions, but this I think is a really good first start of looking at where there's maybe some potential avenues to improve.
Thank you, Amy. I'm going to give voice for someone that has left the space, but shared their voice before they left, and that was Julissa Soto. You can read this in the chat. I'm just going to voice it. Well, hasn't left rather, but is driving. Sorry. In my 30 years of services, in service as a Latina leader, consistently at the front lines of advocacy and community work, I have never come across disability-specific programs, particularly in Spanish, from Servicios de la Raza or Clínica Tepeyac. While I deeply respect the work of both organizations, this was the first time I heard of their engagement with the disability community. Could Servicios de la Raza and Clínica Tepeyac kindly share more information about the specific programs or services they offer for people with disabilities, especially those that are culturally and linguistically appropriate for Spanish-speaking families? I appreciate your work and look forward to learning more. I don't know how we can address that broad thing and the other questions and all. I look to you, Michaela and Michelle, for some of your guidance as to how we can include that either today or at a future IDEAS Advisory Council.
This is Michelle, I'd like to suggest that while we're here together, we give Pamela and Anna maybe a minute or two to summarize, just to sort of address that question.
Absolutely, I can get started. And I think that's an important point, and maybe what Amy was saying a little bit in strengthening communication across different organizations in the community and knowing who's doing what work out there. And so our work specifically around the disability community goes back to 2019. So that's really when we started hearing from a lot of different community organizations that there was a need for more disability competent providers, and especially disability competent providers who could serve the Spanish speaking community. And so in response to that, we had submitted a grant application through Colorado Access and a partnership with Laridan to start looking at disability specific competency training and access of care and services within the disability community. That was not Spanish speaking specific, but within our organization, with our longstanding history in the community serving the Spanish speaking community, we used a lot of skills for cultural humility within the Spanish speaking community, understanding and learning about disability culture, and then translating those skills into the Spanish speaking disability culture. Fast forward a number of years, we hired, in 2020, 2021, we hired a disability specific provider, Dr. Barry Martin, and he came into our practice to train providers and also to expand disability competent care within our practice. We started doing a lot of research, a lot of engaging of organizations that serve the disability community to understand what are the needs in the community, because we are not here to assess and say, here are the needs that we think are happening. We wanted to hear from the community to say, what are the needs that you are seeing from your clients, from your patients, and how can we expand or grow or support our services to meet the needs of the community. We formed a partnership with Rocky Mountain Human Services and their STARTS program. So we see patients from the STARTS program. We have had prior partnerships with El Grupo Vida. We've done other work in the community, hosting different events. Over the last year and a half, we've probably had about 60 organizations that serve the IDD community to come to our clinic, to look at our services, to assess accessibility, to talk about what's important to their practices so that can inform future decision making and growth in our organization. We're working on something larger that hopefully we'll be sharing with a lot of other organizations here around a framework that really supports health centers growing their disability competent care, specifically around culturally and linguistically appropriate services. Those are things that have been core to our mission since our founding. And so those principles and tenets transition from the non-disability community into the disability community space as well. I'm happy to explain further. I just don't want to take up a lot of time in the group here. And if that's another meeting, we can certainly expand on that. But I think an important point and helpful to, to bring awareness to different groups that are doing good work out in the community.
Yeah, and I can briefly jump in as well. I think, at Servicios, our behavioral health department does a really amazing job at working with individuals with IDD and ensuring that we're tracking that information. All of the clients that we meet with do receive individualized care. And so that really depends based on each individual's needs. As an organization in general, across all of our different departments, we do not currently track or ask the questions if individuals have IDD. However, I think the purpose of our presentation today was to ensure that everyone has access to our services. As an organization, over the last few years, we have received training. We're making internal policy and procedures changes to ensure that we are more inclusive and culturally responsive to all the community's needs. And so I think although we, like most organizations, have a long way to go, we want to ensure that we are creating and strengthening accessibility for all of the community to be able to access care.
Thank you. Abby.
One of the things that I think can be helpful to share too is that Rocky Mountain is here, and we're able to leverage these mill levy dollars to support somebody with getting connected into services. So there's certain requirements of testing that's required. If you want to go to slide 2, please. Thank you. With that testing, there comes costs with that. And certainly, you know, there's some different funding sources out there, but we recognize that this is of utmost paramount timing, that we want to make sure that we're getting people connected into testing so they can get connected into long-term services and supports if available, or local supports as available. And so with our mill levy dollars, we're able to pay for that. And so I think that's a nice thing to highlight. And I think it's a nice thing to highlight that with these mill levy dollars, through every one of these arrows and every one of these intersections, mill levy is here to wrap around those supports during these times of trying to access services, during times of transition, during times of not feeling that we're, you know, being able to be in our community in the way that we want to and present and safe. And so mill levy is here to take that trust and earn that trust and listen to each person for their experience, and how can we then use these mill levy dollars to support them. So one example is we have a family that their child was born early with a disability and is currently in the NICU. And how can we help support in that very specific space of that family dynamic and in that fear of going to the NICU to be able to visit and care for my child? And then how do we bring them home, and what does that look like? And so mill levy has programs that are designed to specifically support that person through our individual requests. We have families that have parents that one person was picked up by ICE, and they're the sole kind of income earner in that family, and was a caregiver for their person with a disability, and so able to leverage mill levy in unique ways to then get the right nursing care in the home to continue that care that the parent that was picked up was providing. How can we then support with some of those basic needs, with food and with housing, to stabilize during this uncertain time? One situation, we were able to even get technology supports. Oftentimes, you know, technology is what we need to be able to access the outside world safely from our home where we feel the safest. But we can't do that, and we can't connect if we don't have the technology to do that. So mill levy was able to support that family with getting a phone, with getting a computer, and even in this situation with support with, how do I use these devices? This is all new to me. And so being able to really tailor those individual needs right where they're at with those mill levy dollars.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Shell, do I call on you or do you call on me now?
Brother, I'll let you go first because I got a list.
Good, good. That goes to the point that I want to bring out right now. Thank you for all of our questioners and our answerers. For those of us who are voting members on IDEAS Advisory Council, we may or may not have all kinds of professional training, or it might just be, this is what we've lived from our family, or probably both. That's okay. If a lot of this is going over your head, but you just grab some parts, then just grab some parts. As a reminder, this advisory council gets to offer advice for priorities and for actions that Department of Human Services in Denver will consider. So that often leads to a vote. And before a vote, often that leads to discussion. I'm going to just put in the chat something that helps you listen, helps you understand some of your role. We have some folks that are new to IDEAS Advisory Council, and those of us that have been around a while, we need a reminder as well. So I'm just going to put something in the chat to help you think about how you listen and how your voice can be used here, how voting or recommendations can work. Let's just allow for, I don't know, maybe a 10-second pause or so, and then I will pass. And Michelle, I will let you do the calling after you feel it's been sufficient time to absorb what I put in the chat. Pass.
Thank you, Brian, for the great reminder. I'd like to help and go back. I see, and I could have missed it, but I see 2 questions in the chat. And then respectfully, I like the ability to ask a couple of questions myself. I like to go back to Alicia's question where she said, hey, I've been out in the community. Folks are asking about what agencies can help with autism testing for lower income families. So I'm hoping that because Pam has her hand up, she can jump on that one. And then I see that Seth has one. So Pam, I see you raising your hand. Respectfully, I'd love to hear so we can help.
I think it depends, and this is Pamela Bishalia with Advocacy Denver. And so Alicia, it depends on the age of the individual. For children, families can get an educational evaluation completed by the school district that would confirm or deny whether they're able to make an educational diagnosis of autism. It's always important to feel comfortable that that the evaluation is culturally and linguistically appropriate. There isn't a long list of individuals who have the appropriate training to do the evaluation in the primary language of Spanish. But there are those people that where they feel comfortable making that diagnosis. So I would say for kids, look to the public school system. For adults, many times if they're looking at going through the door of Rocky Mountain Human Services, then a part of that process might be that Rocky Mountain Human Services would use meal levy monies to pay for that evaluation. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you. Actually, it was. I have in the last outreach I was in was Jose Silva's backpack foundation backpack giveaway, and there were where the Hispanic population was heavy, and that question was asked a lot. And I did mention Rocky Mountain Health Services, but I just wanted to know if there were any other agencies that they may go to if they didn't feel comfortable. But I definitely shot them over to Rocky Health as my go-to.
And so Rocky Mountain Human Services and mill levy being able to pay for the cost of the evaluation is a good resource for adults. And then again, for kids, I would say the family has the right to request that the school complete the evaluation. And that's where Advocacy Denver many times our advocate supports families in that we see there's different communities where they're either under-identified or disproportionately identified. We see that Black male students are disproportionately identified as having serious emotional disabilities. We see where Latino children are under-identified with a diagnosis of autism. And then certainly we see female students, all races, under-identified with autism or ADHD. And then there are private places like Children's Hospital, JFK. Sometimes with kids, is the family may be on a wait list for some time. And I think the question always is are they able to evaluate the child in their primary language? And it wouldn't always necessarily be Spanish, depending on the area that they're evaluating. So, for example, if a child has never been in school, then it's appropriate, and the Spanish is spoken in the home, it's appropriate to complete the evaluation in Spanish. If a child's been in school and all academic instruction has been in English, then there's probably value in some of the evaluations, like maybe the intellectual evaluations being conducted in the child's primary language, but then the educational evaluations being conducted in English. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. I know that's why you were like, I got this, I got this. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And I just want to go back up a little bit further. Seth, brother, I see your questions. His question was, is Rocky having success hiring and retaining adequate numbers of Spanish-speaking case managers? Are there incentives to do this? And for new hires that are bilingual, such as wages at higher pay scale, I think one of the benefits should also be some of Abby's cookies, but that's just a personal thing. So if someone from Rocky can tell us concretely, you know, what does this hiring success look like at this time?
Yeah, I'll take that. I put an answer into the chat, but I'll just kind of expound on it. So number one, we are always hiring for case managers, and we are always looking for bilingual case managers. This is a tough area and position, regardless of specialty, to attract and retain people. It's generally entry level for social work students, psychology, you know, people going into the human services field. We do offer a small stipend on an annual basis for our bilingual staff. But we would love to collaborate. And Julissa, you put this in the chat. I will definitely follow up with you. We would love to explore those different avenues of how we can increase that recruitment and retention space, retention in that space. We do and we do have many bilingual staff that are not just bilingual in Spanish. We are one of the few case management agencies that has native speaking Russian case managers. And so we're a little bit high in demand in the case management agency side for that. And I don't have it in front of me. I do have some statistics on how many of our staff are bilingual and by what languages. But yes, absolutely. We're always looking to that. We want our workforce to mirror the people that we're serving. And so we want to be able to meet people where they are from a cultural competency level, but also a cultural humility level. And so the more we can match people in their native language, the better.
Thank you, Amy. Seth, I see you, brother, with your hand.
Yeah, I was wondering, you know, it's something Adriana mentioned too, that there's just a lack of Spanish speakers to explain these complicated services. So I'm wondering if it's within this council's purview to subsidize like a wage if you speak at Rocky Mountain Human Services, if you're bilingual, and if that's a possible partnership to increase hiring until it kind of reflects, you know, a certain percentage of the community that's Spanish speaking.
Amy, I see you nodding your head, so let's just say she said yes. But no, please, Amy.
I was still on mute. I said yes, great, thanks.
Yes. Okay, let me look across. Elisa, would you mind if I ask my question before? I don't know if you had your hand up before me or after me. So if you had it up before me, I'm open to going ahead and allowing you.
Sorry, Michelle, it's okay. You can ask the question. Just only that was following about the bilingual staff. I wanted to say something about that.
Okay, so then let me just make a statement and then we can go from there. But in general, if you don't document it, it didn't happen. and I mean that in the kindest and most sternest of way to these agencies. If you didn't document it, it didn't happen. So there's something to consider. But I have a really quick question for Pam, which is, in your slide, you said that you serve some 250 IDD community members. You serve overall 10,000 folk. Repeatedly in what you were saying, you mentioned disability, disability, disability. One time or two times you mentioned intellectual disability or first persons from the IDD community. 250 out of 10,000 is roughly 2.5%. And I would wonder if, with some of the resources that have been presented here, if you might be open to somehow increasing those numbers as 2.5%. As you identified, I did hear what you said you're working on, and I appreciate it. And I would just say that, again, if you didn't document it, it didn't happen. I also wanted to ask a question.
May I jump in for just a moment, Michelle?
While I find my question, yes, go ahead. I have a question for Pam.
This is Brian B. We've got about 1 minute left for this section of the meeting, and since there's so much happening, that's a great problem to have. It means we're going to scroll into more as we plan for upcoming meetings. We need to do that with the last 10 minutes. Pass.
Thank you, Brian, for that reminder. Pam, my question, just to clarify, you mentioned that you have resource navigators. What are the languages of the navigators?
And just to clarify, Michelle, is that to me, Pamela, with Tepeyac, or the other Pamela?
No, it's Pamela, but was she Advocacy Denver? She mentioned particularly navigators.
I have staff that speaks English. The resource navigator is a native speaker, but also speaks English. So she's bilingual.
And I was just clarifying, that's Spanish, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry for the music. That's the Zoom default for the timer. I'll change that. But we do need to wrap up for this discussion part of today's meeting in order to talk about planning for upcoming meetings. Am I facilitating that, Michaela, or are you?
Would you like to tag team it?
Sure. And Michelle, of course.
Wonderful. Well, I can go ahead and just kind of set the framework. So we wanted to get the council's suggestions on meeting topics for the next few months. When we're looking at September, there is one meeting topic that Lynn and Jordan and I, as your IDEAS DHS staff members, would like to request that you put on the agenda. And that is to revisit our bylaws to make a couple of different amendments and to vote on them. The first amendment that we need to make is to increase the quorum. Right now, the bylaws specify a quorum of 3. That was a change that was made a couple years ago when we had a much smaller advisory council. We'd like to
pause you just a moment, Michaela. For those of you that are new to this kind of procedure, the word quorum means the numbers of people that have to be present for us to do official business.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah.
And we can adjust that number. That's what Michaela's talking to us about.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Brian. So we would love to increase the quorum, so the minimum number of voting members we have to hold a meeting and conduct official business, to be a simple majority of the current voting members. And that way, that just has a little bit more weight on your recommendations and ensures that a majority of your all's voices are heard when you're making recommendations to the department. The second revision we'd like to propose is to add additional language to our bylaws that would provide some structure around creating subgroups or subcommittees. We have had a lot of discussion in the past couple of years on how to utilize IDEAS mill levy funds to support accessible and universal housing. That is a very dense and complex topic. It's pretty difficult to squeeze a lot of that information into these monthly meetings. And so for anyone that may be interested in joining a subcommittee to do more of a deep dive into that topic and then bring their research and thoughts back to the council, we'd like to be able to host a subcommittee, but would like to make sure that that is codified within the bylaws. So if we could have that on the agenda, that would be perfect. In addition to that, we would leave it up to you all to decide what else you'd like to talk about. I know that the council has been interested in hearing from some of our Voices sub-granted partners and hearing about the work they're doing. We can definitely invite a few of them to come to present to you in September if you'd like. Plus any additional topics that you may have. This has been a really rich discussion and conversation. If you all would like to request more time to discuss the information that was shared today, I know a few folks have said that they have different ideas that have kind of percolated out of this conversation. If there could be an opportunity for you all to make another recommendation for us about things to prioritize with our mill levy dollars. For example, Seth, you mentioned using mill levy dollars to prioritize hiring bilingual staff. We could make space for that next meeting too. So those are kind of my thoughts for you all to kick around. Wanted to note as well for October, we are requesting that we allow one of our contracted providers, not subcontracted, directly contracted providers, Autism Community Store, to present to you all. Autism Community Store in Sensory Friendly Denver is ending a 5-year contract with the IDEAS program. And part of the contract requirement is for that group to present to you on everything that they did under that contract. So we're hoping that we can reserve part or all of October's meeting for that. Any questions? I know I just provided a lot of information to you all, but hoping that you can use that to kind of provide us direction on what you'd like to see happen in the next 2 to 3 meetings.
This is Brian B. Michelle, I see you have your hand up. Is that from before or is that for now? Okay, I see you put your hand down.
I put my hand down. Yes, that was before.
Okay. Yeah, so feel free to unmute and speak up to what Michaela just brought up, or raise your electronic hand and we'll call on you.
Sorry, this is Alicia Cooper. I was trying to raise my hand and it's not working. So maybe it's broken. We might need a cast for it. I think in our last meeting, we brought up carbon-free or zero carbon housing, and we talked about that and possibly, I think we tabled it for September. Is that still an item or topic on the agenda, or have we gotten enough information from, I think it was a few people we need to hear back from to discuss it if we're going to move forward with that discussion in September as well?
Thank you so much for bringing that up, Alicia. I forgot to mention, I know that we had targeted that for September. We would love to maybe work on creating a housing subcommittee and get that codified in the bylaws so that in addition to, carbon neutral housing, anything related to housing, we could kind of do a deep dive into where we have been on our housing journey with IDEAS to date, for those of you who may be particularly interested in that topic, and then allow the time for you all to really digest that information and think about additional directions you'd like to go and bring that back to another meeting. So we were hoping that you might be interested in waiting to create that subcommittee, identify, among you who you'd like to have join that, and then create room for that conversation there. I want to also note that the work that we are doing in May, Jordan, who unfortunately wasn't able to join us today, she's one of our IDEAS team who leads on our housing initiatives. May, she provided an update to you all on what she's been doing with housing and some potential collaborations we are hoping to start with HOST. while we are still actively working on all of those, there is definitely time for additional community feedback to be brought into that process. And so if we're pushing that back a couple months or two, there's no risk of having a development move forward with IDEAS funds at any time that doesn't include that additional feedback.
Thank you. Just worried, you know.
And Michelle, feel free to jump in because I know you and I had some discussion about that as well. If there's anything else you think might be important context on that note.
I think one thing to just we want to clarify is do we need to, because it's going to be a subcommittee, do we first need to have a motion that we look at the bylaws to
Correct.
create the subcommittee?
Yes.
So I'd like to make a motion that we look at creating the subcommittee for housing via a review of our bylaws.
Michelle, can we have also a subcommittee that focuses on immigration per se too? Just an idea.
So this is Halisa. Thank you so much. This is Michelle. I believe we have the capacity to choose any subcommittee. What we first have to do is have the ability to have subcommittees. So right now, Halisa, we don't have the ability to have a subcommittee. So first I had to make that motion. Somebody has to second that motion, and then we can look at the creation of a variety of subcommittees.
I second that, my friend.
Okay, duly noted.
And then would you like to call a vote on that, Michelle?
Yep, I'll do it. If we could all vote on that in the chat, we need 6 yeses.
Before we, can you clarify, are we doing the bylaws or the housing or both?
So no, we are doing the creation of, we're doing the creation of, we're doing the review of our bylaws to create subcommittees.
Just to put that on the agenda. So
right,
what I will do is Lynn and Jordan and I, along with Richard, will draft up some language to present to you all in September to propose a revision to the bylaws to increase the quorum and then support creation of bylaws. And then we'll bring that all to you so that you can vote to officially adopt that language into our bylaws. Right now, I think what Michelle is just asking you all to do is to vote to put that on the agenda for September.
So we have 3 votes of yes in the chat. So I'll need 3 more votes of yes in the chat by voting members. Oh, good Lord, my vote didn't go in. Okay, there's 4.
And I think Julissa seconded that, so that would be
She
5.
did. So that's 5. We need 1 more.
Procedural point, I believe we're down by 1. Somebody had to leave early. If you're looking for a head count.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back in the chat.
So Chris would be able to vote. Let me see who else is able to vote. Adriana is able to vote. Seth voted. Thank you so much. And I think I can't see everyone, but I think that's it for who can vote.
And I think it looks like Adriana has her hand up. If we would like to switch over to Spanish to see if she wants something else to request.
Yes, please. Let's do that.
Sí, yo lo que quiero compartir es de que, o sugerir es de que los invitados, o sea, de que sean a lo mejor de 2 a 3 invitados, porque la información es mucha y las preguntas y los comentarios pues siguen quedando pendientes, ya que no hay el tiempo necesario.
Mm.
Bueno,
Tal vez sería planear y agendar 2 máximo por reunión.
Thank you
Beth.
so much, Adriana, for that feedback. I think that is very, very good feedback. And just to make sure I'm understanding, is that feedback just in general for the rest of the meetings, or are there any speakers that you would like to invite back for further discussion?
Sí, Rocky Mountain.
And is there anything you'd like to hear from them in particular?
Sí, hay muchas preguntas y mucha duda y sobre los waivers. Y, y es una información que se ha manejado tan poco común o con mucho hermetismo que todavía no terminamos de entender cómo es de que se puede acceder a este recurso. Cuando cuando afuera, pues no se ve, o sea, no se ve una guía directa ni una guía clara, porque sí, o sea, no se sabe en sí cuál es el proceso o cómo o cuál es el tiempo de este proceso, porque afuera se ven muchas cosas y todo está como revuelto y no sabemos si qué toman en cuenta, si cuando hay tanto tiempo de espera y no es ni la necesidad, ni es ni es la condición, ni es, o sea, no, no, simplemente no. Puedo pensar que es la falta de personal, pero entonces, como dijo Ami, si hay recurso, hay que inyectarlo ahí, en el recurso humano.
Thank you so much for sharing that feedback, Adriana. That's really, really helpful. And I think I'll definitely follow up with you on that directly, if that's something that the council doesn't want, doesn't get put into an agenda for the next couple months. And I also really like Julisa's idea for a subcommittee to address immigration issues, or perhaps issues addressing the Spanish speaking community, and maybe some of that confusion or questions that you mentioned about navigating the waiver system through CCBs and CMAs. So that's really helpful feedback. I think
Unfortunately, we needed a number of votes to actually create the bylaws, and we didn't get it. So I don't know if there is a procedural way in which we can ask that question by email, or we just have to wait until next time. But if you're counting the votes, we didn't have enough to have a bylaw committed. But we are way over time. We want to honor that. We want to thank our guests. and all our speakers. And thank you for everyone for all the fabulous conversation. Certainly to Adriana's point, we are just getting started. And there's so much more for us to talk about, so we can be supportive of this IDD community. So I think with that, as Brian is asking for in the chat, we have to motion to adjourn and then pick it up next time. Michaela, am I incorrect, or is that the process at this point?
That sounds wonderful. I think we have some pretty clear guidance on the agenda for September.
Okay.
And we've got, the direction that we need from the council. I don't hear any dissent or need for a future discussion, but definitely some really rich feedback to guide our future discussions.
So at 3:08, I'm going to second Brian's motion to end the meeting. So if you could just put your affirmation, your affirming to end, then we'll do it.
And a quick point of clarity, Michaela, can the line stay open for a few moments for non-official business?
Yes, provided that it's just non-official business.
Okay.
And do we stop the record? Michaela, do you stop the recording?
Yes.
So
Is our meeting adjourned?
So I think so, because we don't have
Okay.
have enough members. So let's just say that everyone that's here, that's a voting member, has said yes. So
All
we
right,
can
meeting adjourned.
adjourn at 3:09.
Thank you so much to all of our guests, and thank you so
Yeah.
much, Yamila, for your amazing interpretation. Really appreciate it all.
Yay, Yamila.